Ladies and gentlemen, Gungans and droids across our beloved empire, and a big shout out to all of our individuals undercover that like to keep their names in parentheses. This is Arnold Holonet News, the AHN, the only news you'll ever need because you have no other choice. And today in AHN, we have the confirmation of a brand new character coming to Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, Boushh, Leia, presumably the last marquee character required for Jabba the Hutt, and I am going to say it. I was not expecting this to be the Jabba the Hutt team. Chrysanthemum, Skiffguard, Lando, Boushh. Where's Bib Fortuna? My speculation is we're probably going to see Bib Fortuna come in and as a conquest character sometime down the road. Definitely questionable seeing this. I didn't even think Boushh Leia was a Hutt Cartel member here. One thing I want to note, it's hard to tell if this is, I doubt this is a puzzle, but this is the first time, to my recollection, that we have trademarks next to Boushh, as well as Leia Organa, and the only reference I see of this is maybe the actual name Boushh Leia Organa is trademarked because there's a toy potentially. So I thought that was kind of odd. I don't remember ever seeing a Leia Organa trademark in Boushh trademark. This guy is kind of a first for Galaxies, which I thought was kind of worthwhile bringing up here. But nonetheless, despite my thoughts on why I think this Hutt Cartel, these weren't the characters I was expecting to be in the Hutt Cartel thing. Chrysanthemum made sense because Skiffguard's kind of pushing it. I thought Leia Boushh was just kind of a random bounty hunter that wanted some money out of Jabba here. But nonetheless, Hutt Cartel member, and it's going to have a raid Omicron, a first of its kind. And my presumption is the raid Omicron is supposed to help with challenge Rancor raid. If they're making it for normal heroic Rancor raid or for the heroic AAT raid, a couple years too late on that matter. Or they might be working on a new raid sometime down the road here. But nonetheless, light side attacker, bounty hunter, Hutt Cartel leader, scoundrel. So no rebel tech. Same thing like Skiffguard. Their reasoning is they're undercover, so they have to shed their rebel affiliation, which I don't really buy that. You know, it's kind of like what we're gonna get a casting that's got only Empire synergy, you know, Rebel synergy because he was an undercover agent and the Empire are generous. I don't quite buy it. I think it's more for balance purposes in Galaxy of Heroes. So let's go ahead and check out this kit. There's not a ton in the dev FAQ, the dev insights here, except that there's a raid Omicron. Thermal detonators are kind of the core functionality. So Jabba Scavenger, move aside. We got someone else here that wants to play with their thermal detonator toys here. Otherwise, nothing crazy. They didn't even confirm if this is actually a part of the Jabba requirements, which I presume it will be. And I do think this is kind of funny. Why is there no ability to call 50,000? No less. That would be kind of funny. 50,000 damage, and that's it. We tried. Trust us, we tried, but couldn't make anything work and be bounced across all power levels. So let's go ahead and start reading this kit, shall we? Basic ability, ambidextrous assault here. Deal special damage to target enemy and inflict a thermal detonator for 2 turns. Potency mods, I think, are going to be kind of critical for this. Unlike Jabba's Scavenger, which don't quote me on this. I don't believe it's based off the potency of the Jabba Scavenger. I could be very wrong about this, but potency mods are going to be more important here because think of Jabba Scavenger. Potency mods benefit Jabba Engineer, because as they're trying to apply thermal detonator, it's going to check potency, whereas Scavenger is more applying it via unique ability here. Here, we're trying to throw a thermal detonator, so potency mods are going to be very helpful in this kit here. If the ally in the leader slot is Hutt Cartel, so presumably Jabba the Hutt, this attack can't be evaded. If the ally in the leader slot is a bounty hunter, inflict defense down for 2 turns. If Boushh's turn and the ally in the leader slot is a smuggler, attack again. So possibility to gain 2 thermal detonators, and we're only getting started here. Moving on, inventive, cooldown of 3. I gotta say, it's kind of a, I had a feeling this character is gonna come, but I think out of all the characters, this might be one of those characters with like the least amount of screen time. Like this is like a brief few minute cameo as Boushh Leia, and that was it. And they developed the whole entire kit. That's why they won't sell skins, because they can just make a brand new character and sell you for the whole entire new character up front here. Deal special damage to all enemies and detonate all thermal detonators. Jabba Scavenger is a little annoyed. It's kind of they're the ones that can do that right now. AoE thermal detonator dispel here. Anyways, then inflict the thermal detonator for 2 turns to all enemies. So tons of thermal detonators going on here. When you can make it work appropriately, thermal detonators are quite deadly. But once you got tenacity, it's really hard to get thermal detonators to make some stuff work. But maybe Boushh Leia has something to address that. Unique ability, fearless, zeta, and something that's kind of interesting. Oh, never mind. They put it down here. I was glancing. I was like, where's the leadership ability? It's down there. They just did a really odd order for all this here. Fearless, zeta, final text. Boushh is immune to fear. Interesting call out. I'm not sure if that's a balance thing or, she's fearless for going in the Jabba the Hutt. I'm going to see Jabba the Hutt in her costume. It's hard to say what that's all about, but maybe it's just meant to make it easier to go up against Darth Revan teams. By the way, we kind of have a Darth Malgus problem. Kind of hard to beat him without a Galactic Legend. At the start of the battle, Boushh gains 1 stack of My Kind of Scum until the end of the battle, which can't be copied, dispelled, or prevented. And at the start of the encounter, all enemies gain Deadly Bluff for 3 turns. At the end of each turn, if an enemy of Deadly Bluff is inflicted with any thermal detonators, inflict an additional thermal detonator for 2 turns. So again, if thermal detonators are going to work, if they're going to be useful, they need to apply in massive quantities. That's why Java Scavenger works beautifully up against Rebel Fighters, Genosians, some other oddball teams, because they stack up the thermal detonators so quickly. When you have 20, 30, 40, I had 70 one time, you're pretty much guaranteed to get killed off there. So that's why these thermal detonators, you need lots of ways to get them stacked on. And by the way, I had the comment here, this is kind of an interesting one. When Skiffguard Lando came out, some people are like, yeah, these kits are they're getting too complicated. We're getting too many new unique things. Here we already have My Kind of Scum, Deadly Bluff, so 2 unique things, 2 Boushh Leia here. But moving on, what happens when you have all Hut Cartel allies here? If all allies were Hut Cartel at the start of the battle, enemies of Deadly Bluff can't attack out of turn. And if they have Deadly Bluff and a Thermal Detonator, this is big here, they lose 25 speed. Otherwise, that one downside of Thermal Detonators, they sit there and they might not do anything if they're not triggered. Well, here, they're at least passively applying a speed reduction. 25 speed cancels out a lot of speed from leaderships. I mean, for example, what is it? Lord Vader gets 40 speed on his lead. Well, imagine that, 25 speed being chopped up. Or a lot of characters have 30 speed in their lead. You're chopping a lot of speed off their kits there. If the ally in the leader slot is Cartel and not Galactic Legend, Boushh is immune to turn meter manipulation. Now, this is kind of interesting, because you would think you'd want stronger Hut Cartel synergies with Jabba the Hutt, but if the ally is just a leader Cartel and not a Galactic Legend, so this isn't going to work if Jabba's there. She's immune to Terminator manipulation. Boushh will assist limited once per turn whenever another Hut Cartel ally uses an ability during the turn and the target enemy has Deadly Bluff. So again, more ways of getting those thermal detonators stacking, because when you ultimately let them self-detonate or use inventive, you want all the thermal detonators to explode, and you want as many as possible in there. So again, lots of ways to get those thermal detonators out there. My Kind of Scum, increasing max health as well as defense. And keep in mind, more max health, the more durable your team is. And I'm sure with Galactic Legends, you're probably going to get even more of a benefit out of that. Deadly Bluff, Boushh abilities gain additional effects against this character, as we kind of mentioned. Now, moving on to the second unique ability. 2 unique abilities on this character. Ubi's Ogian Cloak, Omicron. This one, we have our first raid Omicron. Boushh and light side smuggler allies gain 5% armor penetration, 15% offense, 10% potency, and 10 speed. Right there. Even if you're not getting Jabba the Hutt, the thing that's resonating with me, Dash Rendar. You're already getting some nice speed booster, Dash Rendar. Well, now you're going to get extra speed and offense on top of the and armor penetration. So even if you're not going to have Jabba the Hutt for a while, that's nice to have, being able to just get passive extra speed there. But if the ally is a Hut Cartel in the leader slot, Boushh and light side allies are immune to ability block and stun. One of the biggest problems right now with Hut Cartel is that you want to be able to use the team before Jabba comes, and right now Chrysanthemum, Skiffguard Lando, it's not a great team. These are going to be important mechanics if we want to get any viability out of our Hut Cartel members as you build up the Jabba the Hutt. Ability block immunization and stun, kind of a big deal. You want to be able to get those big hits out there, and the bonuses get doubled on top of that. Light side smuggler allies gain 20% critical chance. Always helpful to get those extra damage out there potentially. And in the raids, this is interesting. The max cooldown of inventive is reduced by 1. If the ally in the leader slot is Hut Cartel, when Fearless inflicts a thermal detonator, all Hut Cartel allies gain 10% armor penetration, going up to 200% max, as well as 20% offense, scaling to 400% offense, 20% potency, increasing to 400% potency as a cap, and and getting 10 speed, capping up to a maximum of 100 speed. Now, this, I'm not sure if this is designed for, I'm sure it's designed for Challenge Raid Core Raid. I'm not sure what phase it's aiming at. In phase 1, one of the strategies that we found day 1 was thermal detonators were pretty great with Jawas and Rey in there. But, maybe you want a way of doing it without using Galactic Legends Rey. This might be a way to get a very solid phase 1 run with thermal detonators. And keep in mind, this potency is important because more potency means more thermal detonators being applied. More speed means more turns, more thermal detonators being put out there as often as possible. And being able to use inventive as much as possible means you're going to be triggering those thermal detonators as often as possible too. So I can see this being solid in phase 1. We don't really see a lot of thermal detonator things in phase 2, 3, and 4 of the challenge. Raid Core Raid, Even so, I don't know if I'm sold on this ring or this Omicron just for the raids we have now, because we have plenty of ways, Galactic Legends, non-Galactic Legends teams to handle the challenge rank card. But you know, it's nice that this might be a team that doesn't need raid, and it could still have the Jawa thermal detonator cheese. And you know what? Unlike Jawas, there is one Jawa needed for Java. At least Hut Cartel leads to a Galactic Legend. Brutal Bargainer, leader ability, kind of a core thing, which I was almost surprised not to see. Every bounty hunter, it's kind of a thing. They all have leadership. Some are great, some are bad. Brutal Bargainer. Final text. Bounty hunter allies gain 25% max health and protection. Enemies with deadly bluff lose 25% tenacity. Again, making it easier to land those thermal detonators. At the end of each turn, dispel all buffs on enemies with both deadly bluff and thermal detonators. So that's kind of nice. Again, not just letting thermal detonators sit there. You actually want to benefit from them while they're sitting there and waiting for activation. So yeah, speed reduction as we showed. And here as well, you're getting these buff dispels passively. That's kind of a big deal right there. Unfortunately, this isn't a unique ability. I would love to see that as a unique ability. It's a leader, unfortunately. Contract, defeat an enemy with damage from thermal detonators. So basically, hoping that you blow someone up with a thermal detonator and knock them, which if you start getting like 20, not really an impossibility to handle. So this is probably not as hard as Chrysanthemum's leadership. For example, reward, all bounty hunter allies have their payouts activated and immune to stun. Additionally, enemies can't be revived. So I think the difference is here, remember like, oh, well, they already have ability block and stun. Well, keep in mind, it's only Boushh and light side smuggler allies immune to ability block and stun. This gives all bounty hunters an immunization against stun, and most bounty hunters are dark side. So that's the distinction to make, because you might be like, oh, why is there a redundancy? One's for light side smugglers, the other one is for all Hut Cartel or all bounty hunters. And then additionally, enemies can't be revived. Kind of nice getting that baked in there. And then the payout, whenever Boushh receives rewards from a contract, they also gain the following payout. Payout inflicts 3 thermal detonators for 2 turns on all enemies. Ambidextrous assault and inventive inflict an additional thermal detonator until the end of the battle. And if all allies were Hut Cartel at the start of the battle, the cooldown of inventive is reset and the max cooldown is reduced by 1. Now, my suspicion is Jabba the Hutt's going to have a contract, a payout. So right now we're only thinking in the scopes of the current bounty hunter. So Boss, Django, Boba, heck, even Leia herself here. I'm guessing Jabba is still gonna trigger some benefits here. We kind of see that in Chrysanthemum's kit as well as whatnot. Otherwise, right now, I don't know if I see as much plug and play as Skiff-Guard Lando's turn. He's kind of like a mini Marquis Thrawn of sorts. We've shown some really cool things with him. Beskar Mando, for example, even heck, Supreme Leader Kylo Ren. This character is interesting. It's a more advanced version of the Jawa Scavenger. I mean, I'm happy to see this character. I just don't know if I ever envision her being a part of the Java team. I definitely think Fortuna is a bit more iconic, and hopefully they at least wiggle their way in with some sort of rework Omicron for the Gamorrean Guard. Otherwise, not the team I had in mind for Java. Java, Chrysanthemum, Skiff-Guard, Leia, not really what I had in mind. Or who knows? Maybe she won't even be a part of the team. Maybe there's one more character lingering out there that's gonna make more sense. Otherwise, seems like a fun character in the right scenario. But you know what? We're gonna be testing out later on this week. I presume it's gonna come out Thursday. So if you want to see how this character operates, be sure to stop on by. We got free Java Juice 25A in the party. Is always darn exciting. So I hope to see you guys there. Let me know your thoughts down below. Maybe there's some other interactions that we could be checking out later on this week. But until we meet again, always remember that it's great to be in the Empire today.